Hello and welcome to the Wake Up with Gratitude podcast. I'm your host, Julie Boyer, and today I have a very special guest who actually is a podcast listener as well. So welcome to Krista. Good morning.
Good morning. How's it going?
Good. I'm just really excited to be here with you. And Krista Fernandez and I actually connected through the podcast. It's a really amazing story because I'm sure she'll tell you about how she found the podcast, but we connected through Instagram stories because she was tagging me, that she'd been listening to the episodes. And I was like, who is this woman? Like, not only is she sharing the episodes, but she's also sharing so much about being grateful and acting grateful. And she's also just like super healthy and happy. And I was like, I need to get to know her. So a little introduction. Krista is a health educator, which means she really helps people with all facets of their health, including nutrition and fitness. She's just so passionate about health education. She's also a fitness competitor, and she is a representative for Boss Bunny Sportswear, which is a local brand. She's based out of Arizona, and she does a great job of representing that brand. You have to check out her Instagram to see photos of that. But not only that, she just really chooses gratitude first. And I see that in the way that she posts and she shares. So I really wanted to bring her on as a guest on the podcast. I think it's a really cool, you listen to the podcast and now you're a guest on the podcast. I'm really excited to hear your story. So if you don't mind telling us a little bit about how you became this woman who's just so full of gratitude.
My pleasure. Well, thank you so much for that warm introduction. Super excited to be here. So I'm Krista Fernandez. I'm a health educator, like Julie was mentioning, and truly am passionate about health and wellness. You lock me in a room and I will talk your ear off for all things health. And it's really just because I want everyone to be the best version of themselves, be the best you. Doing that through education and empowerment. I think so many times people have a struggle just to get started or even be aware of changing if they even want to start changing or whatever it may be. So really focused on being the best version of you. And not only do I help empower others to do that, I also want to, of course, bring it upon myself to be the best version of myself. So a little backstory, from the States, grew up in Chicago, Illinois, and graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Health Education and Physical Education. So from day one, have always been very excited to go towards a path of education where I always knew I wanted to teach. I just didn't know what I wanted to teach. I've actually taught Spanish as well in Chicago, so have been a teacher in a couple different subject areas, but have always been passionate about teaching and educating others, and fell in love with health specifically just because it knows no age, no gender, no matter who you are, health is going to impact your life in some facet. That's just how we're made up of, our emotions, really everything. So decided to go down the health route and taught for a few years in Chicago. And then at the time, my husband and I, we were planning a wedding. We were trying to save to move into a bigger space. Fun fact, our very first apartment ever was only 365 square feet. So our friends joke like, all right, that was your marriage boot camp. Like you survived. Our window may have been like this big to a brick wall. So it was,
Wow.
It was pretty intense. So you learn to be grateful for literally everything. And through multiple teachers that have taught me and inspired me to be grateful. And even actually, I grew up in a really solid family household, only child. So parents were always knowing where I was at any given time. And they really helped bring out a culture of gratitude from the get-go. We would say grace as a family before every dinner. We always had dinner together. My mom taught me to always write thank you cards, thank you letters. So if you need some, check out Julie's store for sure for some thank you cards. But a handwritten letter really does go a long way today because everyone's so quick to just text or email. So if you take the extra time to handwrite a note, even if your handwriting's bad, it's okay. Everyone's going to appreciate that little gift in the mail for sure. So through all the saving and changing and everything like that, did a kind of 180 and changed careers. I was teaching health and PE, and then moved into Spanish. And then it was kind of like, all right, wait, I'm passionate about health. How am I teaching Spanish now? Can't get a health and PE job. It's one of the first subjects to cut, unfortunately, in a lot of school systems. And wanted to see what else I could do with my life that I would be happy with, and fell into the hands of marketing, and did marketing for the past 6 years. And then while doing that, my husband and I were always about bettering ourselves. And we decided we were sick of the cold weather in Chicago. So moved out to sunny Arizona, where we've been here now for the past couple of years. Absolutely love it. And still kept with the marketing, project management side of things. And with COVID, I was unfortunately part of millions that were let go, and used that instead of just being upset. Like, trust me, I cried my eyes out. It was, not expecting, no one's planning for a global pandemic, but use that really as an opportunity to, okay, what do I want to do? What am I passionate about? What is my purpose in life? And how can I merge that passion and purpose together to kind of find my true calling? And by doing that, started doing a lot of more meditations in the morning, started just Googling good podcasts for gratitude. I think I just Googled like gratitude podcast or something. That's how yours came up, and started listening to it and was hooked ever since.
There's a lot of really amazing parts of your story that I want to kind of touch on. And one thing that it's interesting that you and I have in common is I have a degree in kinesiology. I didn't know what to do with it though. Like, I just didn't know like where to go, what to do. I didn't want to go to school to be a teacher at the time. I was like burnt out from overachieving for so many years. But I love, like you, I love the part of health education, and I love teaching. Mm-hmm. And I ended up teaching French overseas, actually. Yeah. So I was like, when you're talking about teaching Spanish, I'm like, I ended up being a French teacher and teaching French overseas in like Switzerland and France. It was in English communities, and I was the French teacher. And, I really struggled to figure out, because I always had this passion to teach around health education. And, I was very blessed with my business with USANA 15 years ago, when one of my very best friends introduced me, and she's like, like nutrition supplements, all these things. I'm like, I don't really know, but it sounds interesting. I'll give it a try. And it ended up turning into a career for me, which is, when you talk about this like loss of job and COVID, like sometimes when things happen and we lose the things that we really thought were the right path, something else opens up that's even more amazing. And, I actually dropped out of school. I was coming back to Canada to be a teacher, and dropped out of school to start my business. And here we are 15 years later. And not only do I have one business, but I run 4 different businesses from home. So I love that attitude that you said. And I didn't have the same like gratitude attitude that you do, for sure. I was definitely like scared out of my wits, but I did it anyway. So tell me a little bit about, that time when you had lost your job, you didn't know what to do, and how, because I know, I think you just said you just got another job, you've been doing personal training, like all these things and opportunities have come your way. So tell me a little bit about that time.
Sure. And I think a lot of it is truly mindset. So I think of those cartoons where you have a bunch of people walking outside, and you have that one person where the rain cloud is just over that one person. And, it's okay to feel upset. We're humans. We have emotions. It's perfectly okay to be happy sometimes, sad sometimes. That's a great thing about being human. But it really helps to almost fake that smile. If you're trying to become a happier person, if you're trying to become more grateful, start practicing measures to be grateful for. So it may look like, for example, for me, what's worked really well has been just to every morning say a couple things I'm grateful for. It used to just be 3 things, and they could be the smallest things you could think of. I'm grateful that there's a lock on my door that keeps me safe at night. It could be just very elementary like that. But the more you do say things that you're grateful for, the more you see how great life is and how many more things to be grateful for. And it's just this snowball effect that is just, you can't help but smile. You can't help but be excited for, even if it's not the best day ever, you can look for those key things that will make, wow, today is a good day to have a good day. It may not be the best day ever, but today is a good day to have a good day. So really just journaling has been helpful. And I knew, okay, if anyone's ever been in the rut or in a sad time and it's come out of it, you know how hard it is when you're in the muck to be like, okay, there is a light.
Yeah.
I will get out of this, but it's hard when you're just in it. But to remind yourself, this is just momentarily. It's not forever. It's just, this is what the moment is. And I really help others and educate others to be present in the moment. Like, don't worry for tomorrow. Don't worry about the past. Just be here, be now, be living in the moment. And so it's, what can I be grateful for right now? What am I excited to do right now? And take that energy and excitement and move forward and know the negatives in life are not permanent.
You truly are someone that lives and breathes gratitude, and it makes my heart so happy that we connected, because I listen to the things that you're saying and I'm like, these are things I've been saying for so many years. And to see, you as a beautiful human being who is living and practicing these things, one thing to even consider is, if you're looking for a new job, which people are likely doing right now, having a positive gratitude mindset, showing up as your best self in that moment, being a person who's excited and enthusiastic and has this wonderful way of looking at the world, you are more likely to be hired, right? Like that. If you came into my place of business and I had a role open that, suited you, I don't even know if I'd worry about the qualifications as much as like your energy and your smile and the way that you connect with people. I think is such a great thing for our podcast listeners to just pay attention to, is that, this desire to have gratitude throughout the day. And that's what I hear you sharing. It really changes the way the world reacts to you, right? So we can't control how other people are going to react to us. But if we show up with a smile, if we show up with this present moment gratitude, it really does change the way that people interact with us. Would you agree?
Oh, definitely. And it even helps too. I've learned to catch myself and be more self-aware if I'm in a bad mood or I'm driving somewhere and I get aggravated or whatever it may be. There's a long line in the store. I don't know by you, but here everyone's 6 feet apart. So the lines visually look way longer than they are, even if they're not that long. You still have to stand so far apart. And I find myself sometimes just getting aggravated or, oh my goodness, how long is this going to take? And, if you have a tight schedule going on, and that's especially when I know, okay, I need to stop. What am I grateful for? Because there's some happiness, there's some beautiful moments in this that I can draw from. So especially when you start seeing yourself slide into this negative mindset, especially then it's good to, okay, what's one thing I'm grateful for? And that turns into 2, which turns into 3 things, and just so exciting after that.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned the standing in line thing, because I actually miss having conversations with people in line, because now you're not really connecting with people in line as much, as definitely not the way that I used to. I used to meet people at the grocery store all the time. Some of my best clients I met at the grocery store, some friends that I do business with, I met out and about. And I do really miss that with the way that we are currently living in the pandemic, 6 feet apart, wearing a mask. It does really change that. So that moment of thinking of gratitude right then and there, it again brings you back to the simple things like, I can go to the store, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's right now, that is something that many places you can't do that. So it's true that in every situation, we can find something to be grateful for, some way to shift our attitude. And I appreciate that you have all these little daily practices. Now I want to ask a little bit of a self-serving question. So you have been listening to the podcast for quite some time, and I'm curious, what is it that brings you back to keep listening to the podcast?
That is such a good question. I think it's a few different things in no particular order, but it's wake up with gratitude first and foremost, just the title of it attracted me to your podcast to, again, wake up, be grateful, and then that kind of sets the whole rest of your day. I truly embody own your morning, own your day. So your attitude that you start out with is going to carry you forward. And even if you have some bumps along your day or morning, you can still change your attitude, of course, throughout the day, but to really truly wake up with gratitude. So from just the title alone drew me in. But I like that they're not 3-hour long podcasts, but they're also not 5-minute podcasts. So it's a good amount of time. It's great listening, if you're commuting into work or going to the store, or even just spending some time at home, even, relaxing, taking a bubble bath, having the podcast going. There's so many ways to listen to podcasts now. You don't have to be necessarily watching it. You can just be listening to it. And I just like everyone you bring on. I think like knows like. So someone who tries to be grateful and it does it. You have to put effort into it. You can't just be a grateful, happy person one day and be like, all right, that chapter's closed. Now I'm just a happy person. No, you have to work towards it all the time. It's a hard thing to do. You have to put work towards it. And so I appreciate your podcast where it just really resonates with me, and the people you bring on, it's so exciting and refreshing to hear their story. And usually they have some good nuggets of information to share as well. So I just really appreciate hearing like-minded individuals, and it's that extra spark that you need, whether I'm having a really good day already and that just bumps me up even more, or maybe I'm having a average day or a not so good day, and that kind of helps spin my attitude around.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. That's so helpful, I think, for, also for me to understand why people are listening to the podcast. I recently ran a survey. If you've been listening to the podcast, you might have heard, I asked people to click on a survey. And it's interesting that one of the questions I asked was, where do you struggle most with practicing gratitude? And actually more than 50% of respondents said that they don't struggle, that they're listening like you to continue to practice gratitude. And just to be clear, I am also practicing every day. I have moments of not being grateful. I'm a mom, I homeschool. I try to balance all the things and I just don't. And there's definitely moments where I'm not grateful. And one of the reasons why I do these interviews is because it fills my own cup. I just love hearing other people's stories and really understanding that, gratitude is part of our journey. And right now in this time during the pandemic, gratitude is trending. But I'm like, I want it to be all the time, kind of like you. I love so much that you just had these ways of infusing it throughout your day. So I have another question that I didn't prepare you for, but I'm really curious because you are so passionate about health education. This is really something I can just see how it lights you up. So if you were to launch your own podcast, what would you talk about?
I would talk about all areas of health education. I think physical health is something that has been going on for ages. Most people can agree for a good physical health, you should move your bodies and you should eat right. We can kind of all agree. Maybe you don't do those things, but everyone can agree. Move your bodies every day and eat right. Get good sleep. And the mental health wave has been trending now, which I'm fully supportive of. I think mental health really matters and we need to talk about it even more so. We're just starting to break into this kind of taboo topic of, not everyone's okay, and that's okay, but you need to seek help or do things to improve your mental health. But beyond that, health is even broader than that. You have financial health. Finances can be a big stressor in your life, emotional health, social health. And so I really would love to just educate everyone on being whole and being health and wellness and bringing those all together as one.
That sounds like a good podcast. So let me know when you're ready and I'll guide you in the right direction to get you started. Because I do think, with your passion for education, a podcast is such a great tool for you to get your message out to more people. And, I've really been enjoying following you on Instagram because you just do have this beautiful way of inspiring people, not only through your feed, but through your stories as well. And I know you're sharing some fitness things for, upcoming holiday season, which will be very different. We all know Thanksgiving in the US will not look the same. Neither will our Christmas holidays. But, moving our bodies and keeping ourselves, active, that can stay the same. So, Krista, if I was, if I came to you and I said, listen, I haven't done any fitness or exercise like the whole pandemic. Like I felt like crap. I'm tired all the time, and I know I need to move my body and do fitness, but I just don't even know what to do because, if I try a workout, it seems like too much. I'm scared to get hurt. What would you say to that person?
I think step one is to find ways to move in your current lifestyle. So I think when someone says, okay, I want to start working out 5 times a week and go to the gym, and then maybe you only go once or you miss that first workout and then you're like, all right, I tried it, didn't work, I'm done. But just kind of sneak it in, and you almost you almost fake your mind of getting yourself to be more active. So that may be start parking all the way at the end of the lot. If you go grocery shopping, park as far away as you can and get those extra steps in every time. That may be taking the stairs instead of an elevator. That could be, dancing in the morning. Maybe you're vacuuming and you start dancing, put on a song every morning. That could be just going for an extra walk at night with your family, with your dog, kids, whatever it may be. So kind of sneaking ways to get an exercise. And I'm always posting workouts on my Instagram for Thanksgiving, United States version of Thanksgiving, but everyone is welcome. I am doing a free virtual workout at 6:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, so 5:30 Pacific Time. IG Live and Zoom if you're interested. No equipment needed, so that's one way that you can even get a full workout on if you choose as well.
Yeah, I would definitely say those are great suggestions right now because honestly, some gyms are closed, some gyms are open, who knows? So that may or may not be an option for many people. And it's like that reminder that getting up, moving your body, a little bit of extra walking is such a great way to start. And you mentioned, we were talking before we were preparing for the podcast, you mentioned a little bit about having gratitude for our body. So what does that mean for you?
I think there's so much negative self-talk that goes around, and that's why I think being grateful and what your mindset looks like is going to help shape your actions. So if you start being grateful for your body as it is, wow, I am so grateful that I don't have a broken leg right now and I can go for a walk. It makes me more motivated to actually go for a walk or go to the gym, or wow, I am grateful that I either got enough sleep or I have some caffeine to wake me up. I should go use this extra energy. I should go to the gym and be grateful that my heart is pumping fully, that I don't have to, worry about consciously breathing and things that you take for granted until they're taken away from you. I think also just help you realize that you have one body, appreciate it, love it, celebrate it. Whatever that movement looks like, if that's dancing, if that's hiking, biking, going to the gym, competing, whatever it may be, just also be grateful that your body can move. And so celebrate that movement.
I love that, like celebrate that you can move. I've been injured before. I had a broken foot for 8 years and we didn't know that I had a broken bone.
Wow.
And so it hurt to just walk for years after doing 3 Ironman triathlons. So that was a big re-examining of who I am and learning to love my body and in a different way. So, but I love what you said about, your heart is beating. You don't have to think about breathing. It happens naturally. Although, we can all agree that remembering to breathe deeply can help all of us when we're stressed, taking those deep breaths. But it's so true. We forget how incredible the human body is. Your body and my body are perfect right now in this moment. Doesn't mean we're not aiming to make changes and work towards, getting more fit and making habit changes. But it's like loving right now the place that I am with my body, and then also loving it enough to do those little things every day to change that. Okay, you have shared so many beautiful ways to be grateful and express gratitude. As we wrap things up though, Krista, just leave us with your number one. If you just wanted to do one thing, one gratitude practice for someone who maybe is not necessarily starting out, maybe someone who's had a little bit of experience in gratitude and kind of wants to up level, what would that be?
Oh, to up level
Yes.
their gratitude. I think if you already are practicing a lot of gratitude in your life, it's easy in the sense of maybe you made that a habit in the morning or at night, or you have it in a routine. But I challenge you to become more self-aware and at least start acknowledging the moments where you slip out of gratitude and you're angry at someone, you're frustrated at someone, you just kind of blow up at your spouse, your partner, your kids, because especially during COVID, tensions can be high. So especially in those moments, I challenge you to stop, take a big deep breath, and say 3 things you're grateful for at that moment.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much. I love that. And yeah, I also could use that reminder. So thank you. Krista, I've just loved this time together. What a unique opportunity to bring a podcast listener on as a guest, for us to build this relationship together and for you to share all the beautiful ways that not only you're, educating people about health, but the way you've built your life on a beautiful foundation of gratitude. Where do people find you? What's the best place to connect?
I would say Instagram, so Fit Con Fernandez. And I have a whole link tree set up with all my links to website, Twitter, all the fun stuff, but Instagram will be the best way.
Amazing. Well, I'll make sure that we have that in the show notes. And just thank you again, Krista, for spending this time with me today. I really, really enjoyed it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much, Julie.